You spend a lot of time researching quack science out there, and I think it's important to differentiate proven treatments versus unproven treatments. You say that in modern medicine there really isn't a place for naturopathy. Is that because of the science versus non-science based practice of it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you just saw, at the end of 4 years of medical school, you're not prepared to practice medicine. That only prepares you to go into your internship, residency, maybe a fellowship. At the end of 4 years of naturopathic school, you go into practice. And not only that, the standards in those 4 years of training are completely different. Naturopaths spend a lot of their time learning about things like homeopathy, which is 100% pure pseudoscience. They just aren't learning the science at the level that they need. And that does not leave them prepared to know, for example, that curcumin, based upon systematic reviews of clinical trials, doesn't work for anything. It has not been shown to work for anything. But if you look at the basic science gullibly and you don't know how to interpret it, you may think it's good for everything. So naturopaths will prescribe things like curcumin for things that it is not effective for because they don't understand how to translate that science into practice.
How do you feel about, I was looking at how much these standards vary from state to state. Could you comment on that in terms of the way state to state naturopathic practitioners are licensed?
Yeah, so it is all state by state. And there are a number of states which do license naturopaths. And then once they do, they completely regulate themselves. So if they don't have a culture of science and evidence, it doesn't matter that they have a license or that they take exams or that they have a board that reviews it because they're just reviewing themselves. And then there's also different scopes of practice. So in some states, naturopaths, once they become licensed, they tend to be quite relentless at trying to expand their scope of practice to prescribe drugs, increasingly controlled substances, to be primary care doctors, and they're just not prepared to do any of these things.
Is there a standard regulation in terms of the pharmacology training required to prescribe medications?
Yes, there is. There is.
Well,
you have to take certain pharmacology classes, and you have to pass your NPLEX clinical pharmacology board. So there is.
And
Absolutely.
Is that a national board the way it is for
Yes, that's a
MPs
national
as
board.
well?
It's a national board licensure exam.
So one of the things that I was concerned about as I was preparing for this is, first and foremost, I actually have a lot of respect for you, Peggy, in terms of your stance on this and the importance of education. And I know many medical doctors out there that I wouldn't trust to go get care with, just being honest. But having said that, I did some research last night to look into the standards of even getting into certain schools that are naturopathic medical schools. And I had some major concerns. You know, one saying, well, you need at least a 2.5 GPA. You need to at least get 60% on average in your science classes. I always get a little bit concerned when the standard drops so dramatically. If there is a place side by side with medical doctors and naturopathic doctors, I think there needs to be not only higher standards across the board, because it's just quite frankly not that hard to get into one of these medical schools that is a naturopathic school of medicine, and it's not that hard to get licensed. I'm curious if within your own community there is a push to increase these standards.
There definitely is, and we do have to maintain CME. We have to do all of that sort of stuff as well. So it's not just, oh, here's your license, bye, go have fun, fingers crossed it works out, you know. There is actually working continually from all the organizations that I know of, and granted that's not every single naturopathic organization out there, to get more in terms of more education, more licensure, more standards.